I was really disappointed.
Disturbed not so much by Wilders, but by the sudden affirmation of his views by so many Dutch.
If you watch TV, if you read the newspapers, you feel a little bit threatened, but...
No matter what you do, it's never enough. And you just get fed up with that feeling. If you just... Because the message that Holland gives immigrants is you have to participate, you have to learn the language, you have to get an education, you have to get a job. Well, I did that. And then still you tell me that I don't belong here. Then you said, okay, bekijk het maar in Dutch. Bekijk het maar. Can we also see it? It's like a kick in the stomach.
It's a kick in your stomach, and you feel like you start at one again. You're like, what?
The electoral verdict is in on Wilders, and the reverberations are being felt across the migrant community.
Let's be honest about that. I mean, his marketing team is brilliant.
But next month, Wilders is facing another verdict that is potentially more threatening to his career.
But this is a case in which I also have I see my personal opinions in it. And
one of the Netherlands' most prominent lawyers, Gerard Spong, is leading an action to prosecute Wilders under Holland's strict hate speech laws for comparing the Quran to Mein Kampf, amongst other things.
But there are certain limits.
It's no minor charge, carrying a possible jail term and a criminal conviction.
Is it appropriate to bring this sort of action against a man who essentially is a Democrat?
I don't care. Also, Democrats can commit crimes. And it is a crime, in my opinion, what he has done. So, in our law system, we does not differ between Democrats and not Democrats. You're a criminal or not a criminal. That's the point.
You talk a lot about criminals, but you could very soon be a criminal yourself.
Yes, unfortunately, we have in the Netherlands hate speech laws. The maximum penalty is 2 years in jail for things I said about Islam as a leader of the biggest winner of the Dutch elections, which of course is ridiculous. So I'm confident that I will be acquitted, but hey, you never know.
Everyone in this country, political leader or not, having a big political party or not, everyone in this country is bound to our criminal code.
The prosecution is clearly weighing heavily on Wilders. Jail terms aside, a criminal conviction would make international travel to pursue his broader ambitions extremely difficult.
Of course not. I would rather have 10 seats less in Parliament, to be honest, and have no court case than have this court case. Because what would happen if I would be convicted? I'm a parliamentarian and a convicted criminal because of crazy hate speech law that we should have abolished centuries, decades ago.
But it seems there's no stopping Geert Wilders.
En niet-westerse allochtonen met een dubbele nationaliteit die zich schuldig maken aan de misdaad, zoals die vele Marokkaanse straatterroristen, die moeten hun Nederlandse paspoort inleveren en gaan het land uit.
Threats of prosecution haven't moderated his language, nor it seems have death threats which he receives constantly.
I pay a high price for it. In the process of fighting for freedom, my party's name is Party for Freedom. I lost my own freedom almost for 6 years now. I am under 24-hour police protection, traveling around in armored cars with a lot of police. And I lived in prison cells with my wife, not as a criminal, but to be protected, in army barracks. And now I live in a safe house from the government, and unfortunately it continues.
Last month, Al-Qaeda circulated this slick magazine, documenting the delights of murder and mayhem, with Geert Wilders scoring special attention.
The threats are terrible, and my personal life is a hell, but I cannot say it's worth it, because then I perhaps would be an idiot, but it will not stop me.
Wilders is not just an international target, he's looking for an international audience as well.
These are dramatic times. The Europe, you know, is on the verge of collapsing. We are now witnessing profound changes that will forever alter Europe's destiny and might send...
Wilders has just announced he's forming a worldwide anti-Islamic organisation, visiting all Western countries, including Australia, to establish local chapters.
Well, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, all cultures are not equal. Our culture...
This presentation to the Florida Security Council is his standard fare, part speech, part slide night.
But Islam should be compared with other totalitarian ideologies like communism or fascism.
It is an international struggle to defend our freedom and to stop Islam. And we will work in many countries. It will be based in the United States, but we will focus on many also European countries. I will also visit Australia, and we will try to get to help grassroots organizations to support this message, and to also try to get some leverage on the political levels.
Not one person from Muslim countries should be allowed to emigrate to our societies anymore.
My mailbox is full of letters and emails from Australia, from Canada, from Norway, from Taiwan, from everywhere, that people want to do something with this message. And I believe we should give them the opportunity and some shelter.
We expel them, we tell them, there is the door, you have to leave our societies.
In the weeks ahead, Wilders will be sworn into government, face a criminal trial, and head to New York on September 11 to oppose the building of a mosque near the World Trade Center.
Gentlemen, we also have to stop the building of new mosques in our societies.
A visit that will effectively be the launch of his international organisation. It's likely that September will be quite a month for Geert Wilders, and probably the rest of us as well.
We will never give in. We will never give up. We will never surrender. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Mark Davis filming and reporting there in the Netherlands, and Mark has joined us in the studio. Mark, good to see you.
Hi, George.
Fascinating stuff, to say the least.
Quite a guy one to watch, I think.
You're not kidding. Looking at the notes, ironically, I don't know, it's coincidentally, it's weird. To get up in the Dutch Parliament and be the kingmaker that we were talking about, that you were talking about, he actually needs 76 seats out of 150.
Exactly the same size Parliament, same dilemma, but he's sitting with 24 seats, so that makes him a little bit more persuasive than our four independents and a Green.
Yeah,
it's a massive block. It's a massive block,
and a very different problem from Qatar and Windsor and these other guys.
Well, he makes Bob Qatar look pretty relaxed, doesn't he?
He does indeed. Can I ask you this? Is he a pathological Islamophobe, which he appears to be, or a political opportunist who's realised there's a place for this kind of ideology, this kind of politics?
No, I'm sure it's certainly heartfelt. I don't think it's opportunistic. It's opportunistic for people around him, and clearly other people are riding this tide. He's had this message for some time.
Yep.
It was regarded as a fringe message, but his time really has come, and people are totally gravitating towards him.
And not just in Holland, clearly.
Not just in Holland. His ambition is very much international. I mean, he's almost... Holland's behind him. He's getting so many connections.
Think he's bigger than that already?
Undoubtedly.
Yep.
I mean, he's got a lot of support from America.
Well, hence this visit to the New York City, to Ground Zero on September the 11th. Now, that is outright provocation.
It'll be, explosive, I think. I mean, part of the reason the American right wing like him is he is able to say things that they can't. I mean, the Americans have been actually they're prepared to bomb Muslims, but they've been very measured in the language they use about Muslims from at every level, even the sort of right wing institutes, etc. They're all modest about how they refer to Muslims in their own country.
And Obama, of course, he's on the record as saying American freedom of religion as a tenet.
It's a great
sticks, and if they want to put a mosque downtown right on Ground Zero, that should be the case in America if it is the land of the free that it claims to be.
Yeah, well, I think Americans hold that as one of their articles of truth, that a belief in religious freedom, and it's been tested through this whole sort of conflict with the Islamic world. But this guy is able to lob the hand grenades that they don't wish to lob themselves.
He can say things that Americans might even hesitate to say.
I mean,
one final thing before we go, because we're running out of time. He obviously is worried about that court case, that inciting of hatred and discrimination. That could be a big problem for him. That could be the hand grenade that's lobbed in his pocket.
Well, he's not taking it lightly, and it's not the prosecution as such, or any jail term if he receives one. It would make him a hero in Holland. I think the problem for him is he really does want to travel. He does see this as an international war against Islam.
A worldwide crusade.
He won't get into other nations if he's carrying a criminal charge for hate speech.
Fascinating stuff. And as you said, We haven't heard the last of that bloke, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Mark, thank you. Good to see you.
Thanks, George.
And there's more about Geert Wilders on our website, and tell us what you think of the curious Mr Wilders, or any of tonight's stories for that matter, at sbs.com.au/Dateline. Up next, we've all heard that the Gulf of Mexico oil disaster is supposed to be over, but is it?
There is very little focus on the long term. And that can stretch on for many, many years. That can stretch on for the remaining life of a lot of the workers.
And the town in Alaska still trying to cope with the Exxon Valdez catastrophe more than 20 years later.
Oh my God, look at that. This is ridiculous. So some places still have oil like that.